Many Americans have walked past it, spent it on a cup of coffee, or left it forgotten in a jar of spare change. But what if I told you that one ordinary-looking quarter from the year 2000 has sparked a treasure hunt that continues to this day? A coin worth just 25 cents at face value has, under extraordinary circumstances, been associated with values reaching hundreds of thousands of dollars. Could a 2000 Washington quarter hiding in plain sight actually change someone's life? And what secrets does this seemingly ordinary coin still hold? To understand the mystery behind the 2000 Washington quarter, we need to travel back to the dawn of a new millennium. The year 2000 was a moment unlike any other in modern American history. The world had survived the Y2K scare, technology was rapidly transforming everyday life, and the United States Mint was in the midst of one of the most successful coin programs ever launched, the 50-state quarters program. Introduced in 1999, the state quarters program became an instant sensation. For the first time in generations, Americans were paying close attention to the coins in their pockets. Families collected them. Children searched through piggy banks. Coin dealers saw a surge of interest unlike anything they had witnessed in decades. And among the billions of quarters produced during this era was a coin struck at the Denver Mint that would later become the focus of countless collectors and treasure hunters. The 2000 Washington quarter. The Washington quarter itself has a fascinating history. First introduced in 1932 to commemorate the 200th anniversary of the birth of President George Washington, the coin was never originally intended to become a permanent design. Yet its popularity ensured its survival, and for nearly a century, George Washington's portrait has remained one of the most recognizable images in American coinage. The 2000 Washington quarter was struck at the United States Mint facility in Denver, Colorado. The small D mint mark beneath Washington's portrait identified its place of origin. On the surface, there seemed to be nothing extraordinary about this coin. In fact, the Denver Mint produced more than 965 million Washington quarters in the year 2000, making them anything but rare. Or so everyone thought. As collectors began examining these quarters more closely, reports of unusual errors and varieties started to emerge. Coin enthusiasts discovered examples with striking anomalies. Off-center strikes, double strikes, broad strikes, clipped planchets, and even dramatic minting errors that transformed ordinary quarters into numismatic treasures. One of the most famous discoveries involved state quarter mules and major striking errors from the era, coins that were never supposed to exist. Although such errors remain incredibly rare, their existence sparked a nationwide search. Suddenly, every pocketful of change became a potential treasure chest. But here's where the story becomes even more fascinating. In the world of coin collecting, value isn't determined solely by age. Condition, rarity, historical significance, and errors often matter far more. This reality shocked many people who assumed that only centuries-old coins could be worth substantial money. A pristine 2000 Washington quarter with exceptional quality grading can command impressive prices among collectors. Meanwhile, examples featuring major mint errors have sold for hundreds or even thousands of dollars. Certain extraordinary error coins from the modern era have achieved astonishing auction results, fueling rumors and headlines suggesting that some quarters could be worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. This has led to one of the greatest modern treasure hunts in American numismatic history. Imagine this scenario. You're cleaning out your garage and stumble across an old coffee can filled with coins collected over decades. Most people would see spare change. A collector sees possibility. Hidden among hundreds of ordinary coins could be a rare error quarter worth far more than anyone could imagine. Stories like this are not simply urban legends. In 2019, collectors continued reporting previously unknown varieties and mint errors from the state quarters era. The advancement of digital photography, online auction platforms, and social media communities transformed ordinary people into amateur treasure hunters. Suddenly, discoveries that once remained local news could spread across the globe overnight. The 2000 Washington quarter became part of this cultural phenomenon. Its enormous mintage guaranteed that examples would remain plentiful, but that same abundance created an unexpected advantage. More coins meant more opportunities for unusual errors to escape into circulation. And that's where the mystery truly begins. How many rare error quarters remain undiscovered? How many sit inside forgotten collections, buried in coin jars, or hidden within inherited estates? Could someone unknowingly spend a coin worth thousands of dollars at a grocery store checkout? These questions continue to drive collectors today. The artistry of the 2000 Washington quarter also deserves attention. On the obverse, John Flanagan iconic portrait of George Washington reflects classical American coin design traditions. The reverse designs of the state quarters program celebrated the unique identity and history of each state, creating miniature historical documents that circulated through millions of hands. This combination of historical significance and modern accessibility helped transform coin collecting from a niche hobby into a nationwide obsession. For many Americans, the state quarters program represented their first experience with treasure hunting. Perhaps that's why stories surrounding coins like the 2000 Washington quarter continue to captivate us. They tap into something deeply human, the possibility that extraordinary value can hide within ordinary objects. Think about it. Throughout history, countless treasures have been discovered by accident. Ancient hoards unearthed beneath farm fields. Lost shipwrecks found at the bottom of the ocean. Priceless artifacts uncovered in dusty attics. Why couldn't a life-changing coin be hiding in your spare change? Of course, it's important to separate fact from fantasy. Most 2000 Washington quarters remain worth their face value of 25 cents. Claims of ordinary circulated examples selling for hundreds of thousands of dollars often stem from misunderstandings, misidentified errors, or sensationalized headlines. Yet genuine mint errors and exceptionally preserved specimens can indeed command substantial premiums. And perhaps that's what makes this story so compelling. The hunt itself becomes part of the reward. Every coin examined represents a possibility. Every pocketful of change carries a tiny spark of hope. Every collector, whether beginner or expert, participates in a treasure hunt that spans an entire nation. So the next time you receive a quarter in change, pause for a moment. Look closely at the date. Search for that tiny D mint mark. Examine the details. Because somewhere, perhaps in a forgotten drawer or an old piggy bank, a remarkable coin may still be waiting to be discovered. And if history has taught us anything, it's that some of the greatest treasures in the world have always been hiding in plain sight. What do you think? Have you ever found an unusual coin in your pocket change? Or do you have a jar of old quarters waiting to be searched? Share your story, and who knows? The next incredible discovery might already be sitting in your home right now. Have you ever checked the loose change sitting in your car's cup holder or hidden inside an old jar and wondered if one of those ordinary-looking coins could be worth a fortune? What if I told you that a seemingly common 2003 Washington quarter has sparked excitement among collectors, fueled online treasure hunts, and inspired countless people to search through their pocket change with renewed hope? But is there really a 2003 Philadelphia Washington quarter worth hundreds of thousands of dollars? And what secrets does this modern American coin actually hold? Today, we're diving deep into the fascinating story of the 2003 Washington quarter-dollar coin, a coin that millions of Americans handled without a second thought, yet one that continues to captivate collectors and treasure hunters around the world. To understand why the 2003 Washington quarter remains so intriguing, we have to travel back to one of the most successful coin programs in American history. In 1999, the United States Mint launched the ambitious 50-state quarters program, an initiative designed to celebrate each state's unique history and heritage. What started as a simple commemorative series quickly became a nationwide phenomenon. Families searched through rolls of coins. Children filled collector maps. Grandparents passed collections to their grandchildren. Suddenly, everyday pocket change transformed into a national treasure hunt. By 2003, the program was in full swing. That year, 5 states were honored: Illinois, Alabama, Maine, Missouri, and Arkansas. And at the Philadelphia Mint, identified by the P Mint mark, hundreds of millions of quarters were struck to meet enormous public demand. At first glance, this might seem to destroy any notion of rarity. After all, how could a coin produced in such massive quantities ever become valuable? The answer lies in a fascinating truth that every serious coin collector understands. Rarity isn't always about low mintage. Sometimes it's about survival, condition, and mistakes. The Washington quarter itself carries a remarkable history. First introduced in 1932 to commemorate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth, the coin eventually became one of America's most recognized pieces of currency. Designed by sculptor John Flanagan, the classic portrait of Washington remained largely unchanged for decades, becoming an enduring symbol of American identity. When the state quarters program began, however, the reverse side transformed into a canvas for storytelling. Each state's quarter became a miniature historical monument, capturing moments of pride, innovation, and cultural heritage. The 2003 Illinois quarter honored Abraham Lincoln and the state's rich agricultural and industrial history. The Alabama quarter celebrated Helen Keller, making it the first U.S. coin to feature Braille. Maine showcased its iconic lighthouse and sailing ship. Missouri commemorated the Lewis and Clark expedition. Arkansas highlighted its natural beauty with rice fields, ducks, and diamonds. Millions of these coins entered circulation. Most were spent, lost, scratched, damaged, or forgotten. But a tiny fraction survived in extraordinary condition. And that's where the story becomes truly fascinating. In the world of coin collecting, condition is everything. A quarter worth just 25 cents in circulated condition can suddenly become worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars if preserved in pristine, nearly perfect condition. Professional grading companies evaluate coins using a 70-point scale. The difference between a grade of MS-66 and MS-68 may sound insignificant, but financially, it can mean the difference between a modest collectible and a coin worth thousands. Some 2003 Washington quarters have achieved exceptionally high grades due to remarkable preservation and superior striking quality. These elite examples represent only a tiny fraction of the original mintage. For collectors competing to own the finest known specimens, rarity emerges not from production numbers, but from perfection itself. But that's only part of the mystery. Throughout American coin history, errors have created legends. Double strikes, off-center strikes, die cracks, clipped planchets, and dramatic minting mistakes have transformed ordinary coins into highly sought-after treasures. The 2003 Washington Quarter series contains several documented error varieties that continue to attract collector attention. Some feature off-center strikes. Others exhibit die breaks or unusual striking characteristics. These errors occurred accidentally during the minting process, creating one-of-a-kind or extremely limited variations. Imagine discovering that a quarter you received as change at a grocery store wasn't just another coin, but a rare mint error worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. That possibility, however remote, fuels the excitement that keeps treasure hunters searching through rolls of quarters even today. And then there are the stories. Across America, collectors regularly share tales of extraordinary discoveries. A forgotten piggy bank opened after 20 years. An inherited collection gathering dust in an attic. A roll of unopened bank quarters purchased decades ago and finally examined. These stories tap into something deeply human. The belief that hidden treasures still exist around us, waiting to be discovered. But what about the sensational claims that circulate online? The headlines proclaiming that a 2003 Washington quarter sold for hundreds of thousands of dollars? Could a quarter really be worth $923,000? The truth is more nuanced. Extraordinary valuations often emerge from misunderstandings, speculative listings, unverified online claims, or confusion surrounding unique error coins and exceptionally graded specimens. While some modern coins have indeed sold for astonishing amounts under extraordinary circumstances, collectors should always verify claims through reputable auction records and professional grading services. That doesn't make the search any less exciting. In fact, perhaps the greatest value of the 2003 Washington quarter isn't measured solely in dollars. It's measured in the thrill of discovery. It's measured in the excitement of examining a coin under magnification and wondering if you found something special. It's measured in the connection these small pieces of metal create between history, art, economics, and human curiosity. Think about it. A quarter struck in Philadelphia in 2003 has passed through countless hands. It may have bought a cup of coffee, paid a toll, sat forgotten in a drawer, or traveled thousands of miles across America. Every scratch, every mark, every journey tells a story. And somewhere, perhaps in a forgotten collection or hidden among ordinary pocket change, there may still be extraordinary examples waiting to be discovered. So the next time you receive a Washington quarter in your change, pause for a moment before spending it. Look closely at the date. Check for the P mint mark. Examine the details. Ask yourself a simple question. What if this ordinary-looking coin isn't ordinary at all? Because throughout history, some of the world's greatest treasures weren't discovered in ancient tombs or buried pirate chests. They were hiding in plain sight. And who knows? The next remarkable discovery in the world of coin collecting might just be sitting in your pocket right now. If you've ever found an unusual coin, inherited an old collection, or discovered something unexpected in your spare change, share your story. Because sometimes, the most valuable treasure isn't the coin itself. It's the journey of discovering it. The year is 2014. Millions of Americans are spending quarters without a second thought. A quick stop for coffee, a parking meter, a vending machine snack. But what if one of those ordinary-looking quarters could be worth hundreds of thousands of dollars? What if, hidden among billions of coins, there exists a 2014 P Washington quarter so rare, so unusual, that collectors have spent years searching for it? And what if one of them is still out there waiting to be discovered? Today, we're diving into the fascinating story of the 2014 P Washington quarter-dollar coin, a modern coin that most people ignore, yet one that has sparked treasure hunts, collector frenzies, and dreams of life-changing discoveries. At first glance, the 2014 P Washington quarter doesn't seem particularly special. It features the familiar portrait of George Washington, America's first president, a design that has appeared on U.S. quarters since 1932. The P mint mark tells us it was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, one of the oldest and most historic minting facilities in the United States. But beneath its ordinary appearance lies a story that combines American history, modern minting technology, rare errors, and the irresistible human desire to discover hidden treasure. To understand why this coin matters, we have to travel back nearly a century. The Washington quarter was originally introduced in 1932 to commemorate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. Few could have imagined that what began as a commemorative issue would become one of the longest-running coin designs in American history. By 2014, the United States Mint was producing quarters as part of the immensely popular America the Beautiful Quarters program. This ambitious series, launched in 2010, celebrated national parks and historic sites across the United States and its territories. During 2014, 5 different quarter designs were released, each honoring a unique American landmark. The Philadelphia Mint struck billions of these quarters. That's right, billions. And that's exactly why finding a truly rare example becomes so exciting. When a coin is produced in enormous quantities, even the smallest mistake or unusual characteristic can transform an ordinary pocket coin into a collector's dream. Among the 2014 P quarters, one particular issue has generated enormous attention among collectors and treasure hunters: the 2014 P Great Smoky Mountains quarter. While millions were produced, a tiny number emerged with dramatic minting errors and extraordinary characteristics. Imagine examining your spare change one evening and noticing something unusual. Maybe the design appears doubled. Perhaps the strike looks off-center. Or maybe there's an error so rare that professional grading companies and collectors compete fiercely to own it. This isn't fantasy. Throughout modern American coinage history, error coins have sold for astonishing sums. Collectors have paid tens of thousands, and sometimes hundreds of thousands, of dollars for coins that escaped the mint with spectacular mistakes. But here's where the story becomes even more intriguing. In recent years, reports and online discussions have circulated about exceptional examples of 2014 P quarters, including rare error varieties and ultra-high-grade specimens, commanding extraordinary prices at auction. While most 2014 P Washington quarters remain worth only 25 cents, a handful of exceptional examples have achieved values that would seem unbelievable to the average person. How can one quarter be worth 25 cents while another, struck in the same year, sells for thousands of dollars? The answer lies in three words: rarity, condition, and demand. Let's talk about condition first. Professional coin grading is an art and a science. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70, with MS-70 representing a flawless specimen. Achieving such perfection is incredibly difficult. Even a microscopic scratch, a tiny contact mark, or the slightest imperfection can reduce a coin's grade and dramatically impact its value. Think about it. Billions of quarters enter circulation every year. They jingle in pockets, scrape against other coins, and pass through countless hands. Finding one preserved in virtually perfect condition is like discovering an untouched time capsule. Now add a rare mint error to that equation. Throughout the history of the U.S. Mint, errors have fascinated collectors because they represent moments when the highly controlled minting process failed. Double strikes, off-center strikes, clipped planchets, die cracks, and double dies are all examples of mistakes that transform ordinary coins into historical artifacts. Every error coin tells a story. Somewhere inside the mint, for just a brief moment, a machine malfunctioned, a die shifted, or a blank planchet behaved unexpectedly. The result? A one-of-a-kind piece of history, and that's why millions of Americans continue searching through their pocket change. Perhaps the most fascinating aspect of the 2014 Washington quarter isn't its face value or even its potential market value. It's the mystery. How many rare examples remain undiscovered? How many extraordinary error coins are still sitting inside old jars, forgotten piggy banks, or inherited collections? Could someone unknowingly spend a valuable quarter on a cup of coffee tomorrow morning? These questions drive collectors, treasure hunters, and everyday people alike. Because unlike ancient treasures buried beneath the earth, coin collecting offers something uniquely thrilling: the possibility that extraordinary discoveries can happen during ordinary moments. A grandmother sorting through spare change. A child examining coins after school. A collector searching through bank rolls on a quiet evening. History has shown us that remarkable discoveries often happen when nobody expects them. The cultural significance of the Washington quarter adds another layer to its appeal. George Washington remains one of the most respected figures in American history. For generations, his portrait has served as a symbol of leadership, sacrifice, and national identity. Every Washington quarter carries not only monetary value but also a connection to America's historical journey. The 2014 issues, celebrating America's natural treasures and historic sites, represent a modern continuation of that tradition. They capture both the nation's past and its enduring commitment to preserving its cultural and natural heritage. So, is every 2014 Washington quarter worth hundreds of thousands of dollars? No. The overwhelming majority remain worth exactly 25 cents. But that's not really the point. The real magic lies in the possibility. The possibility that somewhere, hidden among countless ordinary coins, exists a rare error, a pristine specimen, or an overlooked treasure waiting to rewrite someone's understanding of what they hold in their hands. And perhaps that's why coin collecting continues to captivate millions of people around the world. It's not just about money. It's about history, mystery, discovery, and the timeless hope that extraordinary treasures can still be found in the most ordinary places. So tonight, before you empty your pockets or spend that handful of change sitting on your dresser, take a closer look at your quarters. Because somewhere out there, a rare 2014 Washington quarter may still be waiting to be discovered. And the next great treasure hunt might begin with just 25 cents. Have you ever checked the change in your pocket and wondered if one ordinary-looking quarter could secretly be worth hundreds of thousands of dollars? Imagine discovering that a coin you used to buy a cup of coffee might actually be a hidden treasure worth as much as $915,000. It sounds impossible, but for collectors, treasure hunters, and everyday Americans, the story of the 2015 Washington quarter has become one of the most fascinating modern coin mysteries of our time. The United States quarter dollar has been part of American history for more than 2 centuries. Millions of people handle these coins every single day without giving them a second thought. But every so often, a particular coin emerges from circulation and captures the imagination of collectors worldwide. The 2015 Washington quarter is one of those coins. At first glance, there's nothing extraordinary about it. It features the familiar portrait of George Washington, a design that Americans have recognized for generations. The P mint mark tells us it was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, one of the oldest and most historic mints in the United States. But hidden beneath its ordinary appearance lies a story of rarity, mystery, and extraordinary value that continues to fascinate experts and treasure hunters alike. To understand why this coin has generated so much excitement, we need to travel back to 2015. That year was part of the immensely popular America the Beautiful Quarters program, a series launched by the United States Mint to honor national parks and historic sites across the country. Millions of Americans eagerly collected these quarters, searching through rolls from banks and examining their spare change in hopes of finding something special. The Philadelphia Mint produced hundreds of millions of quarters that year. By all accounts, these coins should have remained ordinary pocket change. Yet somewhere amid the massive production runs, a small number of extraordinary examples appeared. And that's where the mystery begins. Collectors began reporting unusual characteristics on certain 2015 quarters. Some displayed remarkable minting anomalies. Others exhibited striking errors that transformed ordinary coins into objects of obsession. Suddenly, what had been worth only 25 cents became the subject of intense scrutiny and heated debate among numismatists. Imagine being the first person to discover one of these unusual quarters. Perhaps you're sitting at your kitchen table after a long day, sorting through loose change. Maybe you're a bank teller counting coins during a routine shift. Then suddenly, something catches your eye. A detail seems different. A feature appears unusual. Could this really be one of the legendary rare examples? Stories like these have fueled treasure hunting fever across America. The Washington quarter itself has a remarkable history. First introduced in 1932 to commemorate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth, it was never originally intended to become a permanent coin design. Yet Americans embraced it so enthusiastically that it became one of the most enduring coins in U.S. history. By 2015, the Washington quarter had already witnessed decades of American history. It survived economic crises, wars, technological revolutions, and countless changes in American culture. Every quarter tells a story, but some stories become legends. What makes certain 2015 Washington quarters potentially so valuable isn't merely age. After all, these coins are relatively modern. Instead, their value comes from a fascinating combination of rarity, minting characteristics, collector demand, and, perhaps most importantly, mystery. The world of coin collecting operates on a principle that often surprises outsiders. Rarity creates value, but stories create legends. Consider this. Millions of identical quarters may exist, yet a single production anomaly can elevate one coin from everyday currency to a prized artifact worth thousands or even hundreds of thousands of dollars. Why? Because collectors aren't merely buying metal. They're buying history. They're buying uniqueness. They're buying the thrill of owning something almost nobody else possesses. Over the years, certain examples of rare modern U.S. coins have shocked the collecting world by selling for extraordinary sums. These sales ignite a question that continues to drive treasure hunters everywhere. Could another undiscovered rarity still be hiding in circulation? For many enthusiasts, the answer is yes. The search for rare quarters has become something of a modern treasure hunt. Unlike ancient treasures buried beneath deserts or hidden inside forgotten tombs, these treasures may be sitting in cash registers, piggy banks, or coin jars right now. That possibility transforms every handful of change into an adventure. But perhaps the most fascinating aspect of the 2015 Washington quarter phenomenon is the psychology behind it. Why are people so captivated by the idea that an ordinary coin could be worth a fortune? The answer may lie deep within human nature itself. For centuries, humans have searched for hidden treasure. Pirates buried gold. Explorers hunted lost cities. Archaeologists uncovered forgotten civilizations. Today's coin collectors participate in that same ancient quest, except their treasure maps lead not to remote islands, but to bank rolls and pocket change. And every once in a while, someone wins. There are stories of collectors discovering valuable coins in inherited collections, forgotten jars, and even everyday transactions. These discoveries fuel hope, excitement, and curiosity. They remind us that extraordinary things can still happen in ordinary places. The cultural significance of the Washington quarter adds another layer to its appeal. George Washington remains one of the most revered figures in American history. His image on the quarter symbolizes leadership, independence, and the founding of a nation. Every Washington quarter, including those minted in 2015, carries that historical legacy. Yet among millions of ordinary examples, a few rare specimens can become modern legends. Could there still be undiscovered 2015 Washington quarters with remarkable characteristics waiting to be found? How many remain hidden in circulation? And perhaps the most intriguing question of all, if you found one today, would you recognize it? These questions continue to inspire collectors worldwide. The truth is that coin collecting has never been solely about money. It's about discovery. It's about history. It's about holding a small piece of the past in your hand and wondering where it has been, whose pockets it has traveled through, and what stories it could tell if it could speak. The next time you receive a quarter in change, pause for just a moment before spending it. Examine the date. Look for the mint mark. Study the details, because somewhere out there, hidden among billions of ordinary coins, extraordinary treasures still exist. And perhaps the greatest mystery surrounding the 2015 Washington quarter isn't how much one might be worth. It's whether the next legendary discovery could already be sitting in your pocket right now.